all live today in the United States of confirmation bias. Whatever voices are inside your head, whatever party affiliations or ideological leanings, whatever politics or policy positions, there's a media organization out there to affirm those. And that's too bad. The problem in our communities and in our country these days is that we don't listen to points of view we disagree with. And that's partly because we self-exile in these cocoons of confirmation. We put earbuds in our ears as we walk down the streets of our cities to keep the outside world out. We curate our social media feeds so they populate only with reassuring takes. The same for our satellite radio devices and our cable boxes. We want to nod along without ever being asked to challenge our closely held beliefs. We can go a week or a month or a lifetime without encountering somebody of unlike mind. This is what's killing us. This is what's killing and threatening, at least, our democracy. Nonpartisan news is an antidote to this. And over the next 10 years, I'm convinced it will prove itself to be the viable, sustainable model for doing business in an industry in genuine economic distress, in a moment of historic levels of public distrust in our profession, and in a world desperately in need of an honest broker, which is the journalistic ideal. My son starts college in a few weeks. He wants to be a sports journalist. And at some point during this last year, as he was getting ready to apply to and ultimately decide to go to journalism school, he had an unusually existential moment over dinner one night. He came downstairs and he looked me in the eye and he said, "What is journalism?" It occurred to me I hadn't gotten that question at any time in the more than 30 years I've done this work. And so I had to think fast. And on the spot, this is what I came up with. We search for the truth and we tell people what we find. It's pretty good for being caught flat-footed. We search for the truth and we tell people what we find. Now, of course, I'm an editor always, and so by temperament, my job is to go back and improve on something after the fact. So I've really revised that answer as I tell the story. We search for the truth and we tell people what we find. Sometimes we find the truth and we tell people that. Sometimes we don't find the truth and we tell people how we tried to find it and why we couldn't. That's the thing about journalism. Sometimes it's about the destination and sometimes it's about the journey. Don't believe what you've heard. There is nothing partisan about the truth or about searching for it. At least there shouldn't be. This is our job. This is what we're here to do. And it's not the only thing we're here to do. Journalism is also about holding people in power and institutions accountable, without regard to party and ideology. And journalism is about teeing up for people in their busy lives the things important enough for them to stop and pay attention to. Not some important things, not just the important things we like or we agree with. All important things. We can't make people stop and pay attention. And if they do, we can't make them take the next implied step, which is to participate civically. But we can and we should and we must give them the means to be thoughtful citizens. That's our responsibility. You know what's not our responsibility? Telling them how to participate or who to support or what to oppose. The job of journalism is not to tell people what to think. It is absolutely to tell people to think. We are educators in journalism. We're not advocates. And we're not antagonists, at least intentionally. Our job is not to push buttons. Our job is to inform, not inflame, to engage, not enrage. Now let me be clear. Nonpartisan is not non-thinking. We don't sacrifice our critical ability to call bullshit when bullshit needs to be called at the altar of nonpartisan. But the best of us in this business know where the line is, and we don't cross it. Pick your preferred sports cliche. We have no thumbs on the scale. We stay off the field of play. We don't wear the uniform of either team, of any team. I play tennis. I play doubles. Not very well, I mean, come on. But I think about the game of tennis a lot. And what I know from years of study and years of experience is, as counterintuitive as it sounds, your best bet in doubles is to hit the ball down the middle of the court. We always say down the middle solves the riddle. So it is in journalism. I can tell you from 10 years of doing this hard and important work, against the backdrop of extraordinary economic challenges in journalism, that big funders and small donors alike respond to the promise of down the middle. Foundations that support us to the tune of millions of dollars each year do so expressly because they know we do not pick favorites or choose sides, because they know our reporting is always, always fair, thorough, and accurate. They quickly come to realize that our nonpartisan newsroom is the best possible means to educate the public about the issues they hold dear. And anyway, as a practical matter, their charters and missions in most cases preclude supporting partisan media organizations. The wealthy Texans who write us checks each year to help fund our operations know they won't like everything we publish, but they respect us for pulling no punches as long as we hit both cheeks. By treating everybody and every subject we cover equally, rooting out with comparable ambition public corruption and waste, fraud, and abuse wherever it lives, we fully realize our nonpartisan mission. Bear hugging that center stripe, I can tell you, is how we get big supporters from opposite ends of the road. The political diversity on our donor wall at the Texas Tribune is one of the things I am proudest of after 10 years in business. The most Democratic Democrats and the most Republican Republicans side by side, people who agree on nothing else but the value of our work. To me, that is the truest test of whether we are nonpartisan. And regular folks, everyday readers who ideally become valued members, they tell us that they're tired of the noise and the incivility in the partisan news ecosystem. They're tired of being presented with binary choices. They're tired of being talked down to or talked at. That kind of journalism doesn't enhance anyone's understanding of anything. Once upon a time, I had a point of view about the fights waged at election time and at all times. And honestly, I still do. But as a journalist, I know that what I think doesn't matter. Not about candidates, not about campaigns, not about issues. What I think should not drive decisions about what or who we in journalism cover. What our readers think is what matters. What matters is their point of view. Everybody in the Texas Tribune's newsroom knows it. And that's why for 10 years and counting, we've managed to make a go of this. Nonpartisan is a business model. We are the confirmation.